KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
The AM First Radio Network and distributed by Global American Broadcasting. The Gab Radio Network.
Thank you for tuning in for this edition of Justice Watch with Attorney Zulu Ali. I am Attorney Zulu Ali with the Justice Watch crew, Rosa Nunez, Michael Bilal Clark, Dr. Akil Bashir, and Andrea Rodeman. This week, like every week, we'll be discussing critical legal and social justice issues that are impacting our community. This week, we'll be talking about Black economic empowerment, and joining me in our discussion is Dr. Rashawn Graham. Dr. Rashawn Graham received his doctorate in business from Argosy University. He received his master's from the University of Phoenix, and he also received his bachelor's in communications from Cal State Dominguez Hill. He serves on the board of directors with 100 Black Men of Long Beach, and he also serves as the business manager of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated, Beta Zeta Omega chapter, which he's a frat brother of mine. So thank you for joining us today in our discussion.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, so, over the last, few years, one of our major discussions has always been, when I talk about last few years, I'm talking about on this show, has always been about the collective economic development, of African American people, and the significance, of that. And I know over the last few years we've seen, somewhat of, progress in that area where people are starting to see things like buying black and the significance of buying black. And, that goes without saying, because we realize that the issues with the economic conditions of African American people in comparison to not almost, but every other ethnic group, I mean, we are lagging, way behind, in light of the fact that it is due to African Americans that has made, America, the strongest nation in the world, based upon our uncompensated labor and obviously unpurchased land of the Native Americans. So, they've profited and without any question, without the African Americans contributions to this society, the work that we've done, the things that we've contributed, and our labor. I mean, clearly, we should be at the top of the food chain, considering what we've given to the community, to the country.
Yes, that's right. Now, there's been a movement of the Freedmen and Foundational Black American that has been propelling this, and even before that, there were movements. Mm-hmm. Right now, stats are proving that by 2053, black wealth will be zero. And actually, with all this stuff that's been going on for the past 2 years with COVID, mm-hmm. it's probably streamlining to be even faster than that, maybe 2035 or 2040. So the problem we have is our elected, Congressional Black Caucus and our officials are focused on every other group and not focused on our own group. We've helped everyone, from what Tariq Nasheeda said and Professor Black Truth, mm-hmm. and Jason Black, the Black Authority. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's known, and the problems we have are very serious because mm-hmm. we have zero wealth. I mean, that means most people are going to be homeless or in prison. Right. I mean, that's something that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. If we don't have no kind of economic development, improvement, money, tangibles, reparations coming to us. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people probably don't believe in it, but I believe in it because there is, no upward mobility right now. I mean, we don't have the stay power like the other groups. Asians are getting money. Mm-hmm. Hispanics are getting money. Right. Everyone else is getting money for improvement, mm-hmm. except us. And the money we get is only for like colleges and stuff like that. We don't have nothing to help us economically as far as creating our own economic empowerment stuff, like creating businesses. Mm-hmm. And owning buildings, different things like that. We're not getting that kind of money from the government. That's money we need, from reparations and different things like that. I feel like right now we just need to stay empowered to focus on getting our officials to do this, and that's one of the major things I believe that needs to happen.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, when we talk about our elected officials and the fact that, we really don't see, I mean, you would expect that there would be a bigger push from our officials when it comes to our elected officials, primarily whether we're talking about individuals that we put into office, whether they're black or otherwise.
That's right.
And we used, our voting power. And one of the things that, and I think that we talked about what was happening with Ice Cube and how he was vilified for the fact that, and he never came out and said he supported Trump. But what he said is that we would need to start getting something for our vote,
That's right.
and giving our vote away. And he had a program, and he wanted someone to come to the table and ask them, what are they going to do? What you going to do for us? I mean, and Trump, I think, had that discussion, but Biden said that he would have that discussion, allegedly had the discussion after he gets into office, and he never had that. As far as I know, I'm sure he never had that discussion. And so, I mean, we are too willing sometimes to, give away the farm without, asking for anything in return. And we're so easy to please.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? We're so easy to please just by doing some of the smallest things and being recognized and acknowledged without really anybody giving us something. You know what I mean?
The past, say, 50 years, 60 years, it's all about about a presence. There's been some black people, like, in San Francisco that have actually pushed better, but in reality, it has been none to really bolster economics. But, even now, it's like we're just, we're just bringing people in, and they're focused on other people.
Right.
And it's like we have no say, and it's, it needs to change. And even when even when Biden was talking to the people, the black caucus and senators and Congress, he was talking down to them and like saying we need to focus on the Hispanic community.
Right.
When you're talking to the black officials, it just didn't make sense. Like, no, you're talking to us. It's like, and you're disrespecting us. And no longer is this going to keep happening. I mean, there's a movement that we're not playing games anymore. It's like we need this money. We need this money to improve ourselves.
I mean, and a lot of times this is kind of, to me, where it becomes the conversation gets kind of deflected, or they're always throwing shade by saying that, okay, why do we want the government to give us things, or why are we asking for the government for certain things? But I think that there's so much of a history of things that they've done in our when we tried to create communities that were striving and progressing, the government literally and intentionally destroyed it.
Yeah, Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
Not just Black Wall Street. It was like 50 to 60 different cities across the nation that were black, that were done exactly like Black Wall Street. Like they were bombed and destroyed, and things that we had, our freedmen people that we built. You know what I mean? It was built, and then it got destroyed. So, and it's just the same thing is happening in Mason, Tennessee right now. They're trying to do the same thing over there. And it's never stopped.
Right.
It may have been dimmed, but they're still doing the same thing they've been doing from the past.
Right. And it's always, they're always hesitant to tell our truth. You know what I mean? When you talk about Black Wall Street and you talk about all these other communities that were intentionally, destroyed. And I mean, literally, to the extent of, and this is kind of what's interesting when we think about what has happened to our communities. And it's also, I guess, I don't want to use the word disheartening, but it takes you back when you think about how we spend so much time on international communities who've had dictators, like for example, what we're seeing happening to Ukraine, and the sentiment and the outrage that we get when we talk about what's happening to Ukraine. But that's what happened to some of these black communities. I mean, literally the exact same thing, where you've had, people, communities, or have people. When I say communities, when you had people, the government, and people, and white people who literally, intentionally came in and destroyed it and killed people and took away everything that they had.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure we would spend billions of dollars helping them build back Ukraine if they asked for it.
I think they've already streamlined, giving them $15 billion. I believe it's 15 or 16 billion.
Wow.
And then in Ukraine, they got an issue with white supremacy as far as Nazis. And, I've seen stories, seen stuff like that on Facebook and different platforms, like them shoving not even letting the black residents, or, people that are, black people that are in school, go on the trains, to leave. And then some of them went to Russia, and the Russians were treating them better. It don't make no sense.
Yeah.
As far as Ukraine, I feel bad for them, but, I feel really bad for my people,
Right.
Not only in the
Idea where to start? Or have you been hosting a podcast for a while and want to take it to the next level? If so, you need the Gab Radio Network. To host a show on the Gab Radio Network, all you need is your voice, and we'll handle the rest. From technical engineering to full-service audio production and much more. Every show on the Gab Radio Network can be heard on our station on the TuneIn Radio app. Plus, we put all of our shows on our satellite, which is accessed by over 5,500 stations. And here's the best part. You can host from anywhere you want. There are many means to connect to the Gab Radio Network remotely, and our staff of highly trained engineers and producers will make you sound like you're right here in studio. So, if you want to be on the Gab Radio Network, the same network that hosts the Small Business Advocate, Radio MD, and The Federalist, send an email right now to
Nubian Pictures
sales@gabradionetwork.com.
presents a CCM Films production documentary entitled Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. This emotional and strong documentary tells the story of African-American lawyer Zulu Ali seeking justice and his purpose as a lawyer, while crossing paths with Araceli, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico who is seeking her freedom. Together, they help discover their purpose and freedom in each other. Watch this incredible film today from iTunes Movies, YouTube Movies, Amazon Prime, and Google Play Movies. Learn about the cast and crew, links to purchase, and more at purposeandfreedommovie.com. Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. Available now. Rated G.
I did not feel safe. That's why I decided to come to California, because I didn't feel safe in Mexico.
It's kind of like the system, and if you go outside the system, then it becomes a struggle.
Are you an immigrant seeking defense representation and are looking to protect your rights? Or maybe someone who is experiencing an injustice or discrimination and need a lawyer you can trust? Well, that's exactly why you need the help of award-winning trial lawyer Zulu Ali. The law offices of Zulu Ali provides immigration defense representation for those seeking justice and looking to protect their rights. If you or a loved one needs professional legal advice and representation, then contact Zulu Ali. Zulu Ali's firm focuses on criminal law, family law, civil and personal injury, and international law. Zulu Ali is a former police officer and U.S. Marine, so you know you're in good hands. Serving all of California and immigration cases nationwide, representing victims and suspects at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Call Zulu Ali today at 888-682-3049 or visit ZuluAliLaw.com.
Zulu Ali and our special guest, Dr. Rasham Graham. Apparently, we were having some technical difficulties earlier. However, it seems like we're now able to come over. So we had all that talking in the beginning and we didn't get over. Oh my goodness! And I guess we can hit on a little bit of it again. The issue that we were talking about is I told you that we'd had several years of this discussion about, a black economic empowerment, and I think you were talking about some of the issues that we were having in the past with regards to like the Black Wall Street, Rosewood, and other communities that were intentionally destroyed by, the
Systematic white
system.
supremacy.
Well, yeah, that's the best way to put it. And basically, there's never been really any compensation for it. And we were talking about before the break the fact that we have countries, who have actually been subjected to destruction, get billions and billions and billions of dollars and more to rebuild because they realize the traumatic destruction of what comes with being invaded. And in many ways, we've been treated like, foreign subjects as
Yeah.
opposed, or, like enemy combatants, as opposed to being treated like the citizens that we are. And we contribute. The funny thing about black people in America is that we're the most patriotic people in the country.
Yep.
Nobody is more patriotic than black people. We fought in every war. We're willing to do, give whatever we need to do in order to protect this country. But then, they never, they don't give us the same love.
No, we never get any recompense from our government officials. And then knowing that 50 to 60 places that were enhanced and doing well were destroyed. It wasn't just Black Wall Street. Like you said, it was Rosewood and many other places, North Carolina, a lot of other places. And this is not even, they're not telling this in the history books, even in schools. So the Jim Crow era, even today is not Jim Crow, supposedly not Jim Crow, but they're killing us and getting away with it.
Right.
And there needs to be recompense, and there needs to be economic empowerment as far as helping to build entrepreneurs, black entrepreneurs. To be successful.
One of the things that I do have to say, and I'm just, I guess, in some way being a devil's advocate in a discussion, is that for sure, we're definitely going to have to come to terms with the fact that the government's not going to do anything for black people. I think that's, we can do what we can. I'm not telling everyone to give up and to stop seeking. We should get reparations. I'm not saying that you're giving anyone, but when we talk about the benefit of generational wealth as it compares to other individuals in this country, we're definitely, lag significantly, behind. But when it comes to internalized racial oppression of black people as it relates to the way that consumers deal with black businesses and the way that even sometimes working for black businesses, one of the things that I can say is that oftentimes black consumers treat black businesses differently than they do white businesses.
Yeah, that's right. They do.
First and foremost, we don't frequent our own businesses the way that we should. That's number one.
Or they're not advertised
right.
as much as the other ones are.
Right. And then when we do business, then we basically, expect more than we would for other businesses.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, it's like we never got off the plantation when it comes to the respect that we have for each other. For example, if you take a black person who goes to a black business to seek some sort of service or to purchase something, oftentimes they'll come into the business and have an attitude with the black business owner because they feel like they don't have to have the same type of respect. However, they'll go to a white business and tolerate much more from a white business than they will from a black business. The same way when it comes to employment. When you have people who are employed by black businesses, you might have a black employee who would treat a black employer differently than they would a white employer.
Yep.
And that goes back to our own internalized racial oppression. We have money in our communities, but because of the psychosis in many ways that goes along with with what we've endured, we sometimes treat ourselves and each other the same way they treat us, and we don't give each other the same type of credit. We feel like, hey, if I've literally as a black lawyer had black people to tell me, well, I knew I should have went to a white lawyer. You know what I'm saying? I mean, or I've heard people say that even about, I remember one time I had some work done on my house and something went wrong, and I had somebody black to do the work, and then I had someone that I knew that told me, he says, man, don't you ever get somebody black to work on your house? You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
So, I mean, a lot of times, I mean, we need to start within our own community, begin to start, checking ourselves when it comes to, how we deal with each other, and, and deal with each other on a level that is beyond entertainment. I mean, we don't need to just spend money on each other when it comes to entertainment. We need to spend, money on each other when it comes to all levels of business. And I think that's number one. I mean, that's one of the things.
There's a new nationally syndicated radio program that's sweeping the nation, and you don't want to miss it. Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali, the voice of justice for the people. The focus of Justice Watch is to provide an honest analysis and viable solutions to the criminal and social justice crisis in America and the world from a black, brown, working class, and socially disadvantaged perspective, and to motivate listeners to be informed and part of the solution. Zulu Ali is joined by the Justice Crew, consisting of Rosa Nunez, Michael Clark, Dr. Akil Bashir, and Charito Ali to tackle the most pressing issues. Host attorney Zulu Ali is a former police officer, U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and an award-winning trial lawyer who focuses on representing persons accused of crimes, immigrants, victims of discrimination, and persons seeking civil justice. Find out how to listen to Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali at justicewatchradio.com. Nubian Pictures presents a CCM Films production documentary entitled Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. This emotional and strong documentary tells the story of African-American lawyer Zulu Ali seeking justice and his purpose as a lawyer, while crossing paths with Araceli, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico who is seeking her freedom. Together, they help discover their purpose and freedom in each other. Watch this incredible film today from iTunes Movies, YouTube Movies, Amazon Prime, and Google Play Movies. Learn about the cast and crew, links to purchase, and more at purposeandfreedommovie.com. Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. Available now. Rated G.
I did not feel safe. That's why I decided to come to California, because I didn't feel safe in Mexico.
It's kind of like the system, and if you go outside the system, then it becomes a struggle.
Are you an immigrant seeking defense representation and are looking to protect your rights? Or maybe someone who is experiencing an injustice or discrimination and need a lawyer you can trust? Well, that's exactly why you need the help of award-winning trial lawyer Zulu Ali. The law offices of Zulu Ali provides immigration defense representation for those seeking justice and looking to protect their rights. If you or a loved one needs professional legal advice and representation, then contact Zulu Ali. Zulu Ali's firm focuses on criminal law, family law, civil and personal injury, and international law. Zulu Ali is a former police officer and U.S. Marine, so you know you're in good hands, serving all of California and immigration cases nationwide, representing victims and suspects at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Call Zulu Ali today at 888-682-3049 or visit ZuluAliLaw.com.
Welcome back to Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali and the Justice Watch crew and our very special guest, Dr. Rashawn Graham, where we're discussing black economic empowerment. And before I went to the break, I think that, I had a discussion about how to address the issue of, I think the big issue is transforming black consumers as much as it is anything else when it comes to that. And I think that part of it has to do with making people truly understand the importance of it, but the psychosis that goes with how we feel about each other, and the fact that we have, as consumers, we have a lot of spending power.
Yeah, we do.
But we tend to, and then when we do spend it, we just spend it in the wrong places.
Yeah, like
we give it back to them.
Like Dr. Claude Anderson says, as soon as we get our money, we spend it with somebody else before we spend it with ourselves.
Right.
So it's like we get the money and it goes 10 to other people, 1 to us.
Yeah.
Which is not good. It needs to be at least, it needs to spin around at least 8 times.
Right.
For it to be more effective.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. He did talk about the fact that whenever there's circulating money within our own community, how in other communities it goes around several times.
Yeah, the Jewish community, it's like 12 before it even goes outside.
Right. And for us, we're just immediately going outside of the community.
Yeah.
And the irony is that basically we have brilliant business minds in our community.
Yeah, we do.
And some of the things that we're able to do, for example, and I hate to use this as an example, but let's just say we do know that we have a lot of people in our community, young men and women, that go to prison relative to the sale of narcotics.
Yes.
That's a huge. Not that we're the only people that are doing it. Obviously, there's more white people sell and use drugs than black people.
And they got the opioid epidemic
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, but we just happen to be the targets of these investigations, and we actually end up in prison more often. But imagine, like somebody like, is it Rick, Freeway Rick Ross?
Yeah.
Just think about how brilliant of a mind he was. That's a brilliant business mind.
Yeah.
And we're talking about at the level of a Fortune 500 company.
Mm-hmm.
And we have many people in our country, in our community, that have those types of business savvy. However, we tend to be able to cater to a market that only wants to deal in our community.
Yeah,
and oftentimes the only market that wants to deal with our community is vices.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the vices is sometimes the easiest way to sell within your community and get away with it. Oftentimes when you have people who are trying to build businesses that are legitimate, then, we tend to shy away.
Yeah, that's right.
From frequenting those businesses, and so it's very difficult, to build, a black business in this country.
It's like we have a black community, but we don't have a black community. Most black people don't even really own a lot of homes. We own some homes, but as opposed to everyone else, we're like very small percentage.
Right.
Most people are in apartments.
Yeah, economics, is a social science, and it starts with your mind, and oftentimes, and here's a good example. When it comes to, we often understand money, but we don't understand economics. So, for example, most of, whether you're talking about Rockefeller Records, whether you're talking about Def Jam, whether you're talking about BET, everything that started in our community, we tend to want to sell it, right? And then they get their hands in it. Whereas you couldn't buy, certain business. Like we talked about Bill Cosby and how he wanted to buy a network, and how, he was, they were no matter how much money Bill had, they were not going to allow him to do that.
Yeah, they weren't going to allow it.
You know what I mean? And so they see it differently. They see the bigger picture. But just imagine that some of these companies, such as Def Jam or Rockefeller or, many, or BET or whatever, just imagine had we had held on to, some of our, precious landmarks as far as business is concerned, how much how much better we would be. We don't know how to sacrifice.
As far as the networks, if they'd have focused on the black community, like it's supposed to be, I think they would have, and then stuck to our problems and actually try to enhance and make us better, then they would have been falling. They were falling because they weren't listening to the black people.
Right.
To black people.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't do that, then and you're supposed to be a black product, then you will fall.
Right.
But we have a chance to learn. Our people have a chance to learn and to do better from that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we definitely have to, and that's the key. I mean, I think that what the bigger thing is just trying to change our mindset when it comes to business. Because
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I mean, if someone, we even need to learn that before we even get reparations.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to get money, and then as soon it's like, you know, if the brother did get $100,000 or $200,000 or $250,000, what is he going to do with it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there could be like a program, you know, I mean, it could be, you know, the money could come, but there could be a program to help each person learn more about money and what they need to do with the money. You know, when they get it, I mean, it can happen, you know, it could be taught, you know, nationwide, you know, rather than just, you know, just giving it to you right now. No, you know, need to learn more about money so you don't spend it all. But it's up to each person, you know, you get money, you got to know how to use that money to benefit yourself and to increase the money.
Right.
You know,
I mean,
that's
and
what
that,
it's all about.
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes, I mean, seriously, I mean, when it comes to the way that I'm amazed at the mindset sometimes of the community when it comes to how we relate to each other when it comes to doing business.
Yeah.
You know, at that level. I mean, it's just, you know, and how scared we are of each other, you know, when it comes to just even, you know, even in government, the way we relate to each other. I mean, it's almost just like being on a plantation. Like I was telling someone in one of my prior shows, I said, you know, I've been in court talking to lawyers who are black, and then they're whispering to me like we're trying to, you know, run away or something. You know what I mean? Because, you know, we get, you know, sometimes when we see each other, we feel sometimes, especially in certain spaces, we feel more comfortable with other people than we do with each other.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to an issue of you know, our jobs or, you know, something that has an impact on our livelihood. We're fearful. We're fearful to lose what we have because, as we talked about earlier, every time we get something good, they take it away from us.
Yeah.
And so we have this thing, this mental thing that we're dealing with, I think, as people that, you know, that really we sometimes don't recognize. You know what I mean? But we definitely have a serious issue. And, you know, when it comes to power in our community, oftentimes you have some of us who, you know, may have issues with other people because we're jealous and envious of each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's a big problem sometimes too. It's just, you know, you want to be successful, you got to just keep pushing and working hard and believing in yourself. That's the whole thing, is about believing in yourself.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, and it's just like even sometimes some of our leaders, when we talked about earlier, where we have leadership that, you know, sometimes they're stuck in that. I mean, sometimes we can be in a situation where we spend more time arguing and trying to broker ourselves to be in a better position than the other person than we do, you know. It's just like in our community, you know, what's interesting is that we're the only community where you can come in and just say, who's the leader of the black community right now?
When the other communities
nobody says who's the leader of the Korean community,
who's the leader of the white
China community. Yeah. And so we feel like that we, you know, but we all have to, and that's because there's this issue about, you know, playing as a team.
Yeah, the thing is, it should not be a leader. It should be a code.
Right.
Exactly what Tariq Nasheed says. It
Right.
should be a code and, you know, not some person. So that's how they're able to strive and do things, because they're code.
Right.
You know, we need to be stuck on the code.
Right.
You know, like us first, and, you know, keep focusing on what we got to do.
Right.
And to keep that code, you know, sacred.
Yeah. And when we keep falling for the same okie doke.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times we see things like in government, and we see the way things are happening, and so many of us just keep falling for the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I don't believe in anybody being a leader over me. You know, I believe that us as a people have the code as our leader.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and we have to stick to that.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what's going on now.
Yeah.
We're no longer going to let none of these people As far as voting, I mean, I'm only going to vote for who's going to benefit my people. I'm not
Right.
voting for anybody that's not benefiting us. I mean, I'm not voting to help other people.
Right.
I'm voting to help us.
Yeah.
And now if other people want to help us too, yeah, then, yeah, they can get my vote. But other than that, no, my vote is for, if you're going to help my people or you're going to, money, bring some tangibles, that's where my vote's coming.
Right.
It's not coming just because, I'm a Democrat or Republican. And I just consider myself independent of that,
Right.
and that's where it should go.
Yeah. And we're so limited, man, in our political, because it's all Democrat, it's all Republican, a third party candidate.
Nationally syndicated radio program that's sweeping the nation, and you don't want to miss it. Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali, the voice of justice for the people. The focus of Justice Watch is to provide an honest analysis and viable solutions to the criminal and social justice crisis in America and the world from a black, brown, working class, and socially disadvantaged perspective, and to motivate listeners to be informed and part of the solution. Zulu Ali is joined by the Justice Crew, consisting of Rosa Nunez, Michael Clark, Dr. Akil Bashir, and Charito Ali to tackle the most pressing issues. Host attorney Zulu Ali is a former police officer, U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and an award-winning trial lawyer who focuses on representing persons accused of crimes, immigrants, victims of discrimination, and persons seeking civil justice. Find out how to listen to Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali at justicewatchradio.com. Nubian Pictures presents a CCM Films production documentary entitled Purpose and Freedom. Keep Your Hand on the Plow. This emotional and strong documentary tells the story of African-American lawyer Zulu Ali seeking justice and his purpose as a lawyer, while crossing paths with Araceli, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico who is seeking her freedom. Together, they help discover their purpose and freedom in each other. Watch this incredible film today from iTunes Movies, YouTube Movies, Amazon Prime, and Google Play Movies. Learn about the cast and crew, links to purchase, and more at purposeandfreedommovie.com. Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. Available now. Rated G.
I did not feel safe. That's why I decided to come to California, because I didn't feel safe in Mexico.
It's kind of like the system, and if you go outside the system, then it becomes a struggle.
Are you an immigrant seeking defense representation and are looking to protect your rights? Or maybe someone who is experiencing an injustice or discrimination and need a lawyer you can trust? Well, that's exactly why you need the help of award-winning trial lawyer Zulu Ali. The law offices of Zulu Ali provides immigration defense representation for those seeking justice and looking to protect their rights. If you or a loved one needs professional legal advice and representation, then contact Zulu Ali. Zulu Ali's firm focuses on criminal law, family law, civil and personal injury, and international law. Zulu Ali is a former police officer and U.S. Marine, so you know you're in good hands, serving all of California and immigration cases nationwide, representing victims and suspects at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Call Zulu Ali today at 888-682-3049 or visit ZuluAliLaw.com.
Welcome back to Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali and the Justice Watch crew, and our very special guest, Dr. Rashawn Graham, joining us in our discussion on Black economic empowerment. We talked about, first of all, I guess we began by discussing our situation as Black people and where we are and how we are behind all other groups economically. And we talked a little bit about, how the government has participated, since the inception on keeping us economically, not having any advantages and being disadvantaged. There is deprived. And then, we talked a little bit about, should there be some sort of reparations that we should receive as a result of that? And then, of course, we talked a little bit about what we can do for ourselves and how we've, in many ways, have contributed to what the issues are. Now, I'm the type of person who just by nature and through wisdom, always likes to check myself. And I'm the type of person who don't, care too much to ask anybody for anything. I mean, I'm the type of person, I'm a proudful person, and I don't think that there is nothing that I believe that the white man or anybody else needs to give me. I think that, I'm going to take it one way or another. But, in the same token, I have to be honest about the fact that I do have to recognize that there's two things playing here. I mean, obviously we can walk and chew gum at the same time, and that to suggest that our issues regarding not supporting ourselves economically had nothing to do with what we've been going through in this country would be disingenuous, because I know that it does. But I mean, and as we move forward, oftentimes I like to also come out with solutions too.
Yes.
And one of the things that we do have to is, I think that we have to, and it's kind of funny because everybody, when we talk about you become a target, everyone who comes with it's just like when we started the program. I mean, although we were coming over the radio, we were not coming over Facebook. So the first thing that came to my mind is like, what? They're trying to keep me. All this seemed weird to me.
Yeah.
We're talking about black economic empowerment, and then all of a sudden, man, my broadcast goes funny, on at least for social media, although we were coming over the radio. But, but that's what happens when we go out here and we do have leaders that are talking about economic independence, that are really doing something, then they come under attack.
Yeah.
And there's almost no exception to that. We know in the past, when we talk about Marcus Garvey, El Haj Malik El Shabazz, Malcolm X, when you talk about Dr. King, who began to move from civil rights to economic justice, he loses his life. All those times that he walked over the bridges and marched for civil rights, nothing ever happened to him. But as soon as he goes to the strike for garbage
We're coming
workers,
to get our check.
right? As soon as we go to the Poor People's March, then you lose your life. And so, and then when you talk about Lyndon B. Johnson, former President Lyndon B. Johnson, who says that as long as you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the highest black man, you can keep your hand in his pocket all day long.
Yep.
So money is, this is a country of money.
Yep.
I mean, money is like the lifeblood of this country.
It was built on slavery.
Right, built on slavery, and that was economic.
Yeah.
Before it was hate, it was about economic. The reason they wanted black people to come here is because they didn't hate black people. They wanted to come out here for them to come here for the free labor. Although racism has something to do with it, that's the main thing. So even when we talk about the prison system, the prison system makes money. The criminal justice system makes money. I mean, it's all nothing that we do in this society. People come to this country for money.
From the 13th Amendment.
Yeah, people do not come to this country for freedom. People come to this country because they can make money.
Make money. Make big money.
Right. And that's what it's all. That when you think of the land of the free and the home of the brave, when someone comes here, nobody's going to come and not make any money just for freedom. They're going to come here because they feel, they're looking for that. So it's at it's at the essence of everything, and as a superpower, as the world superpower, the whole world is a plantation, and we just happen to be the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, but and to drive that in people's head, and I'm thinking, at least from our broadcast, those are the things that, I want to convey to people.
Yeah, it's been America's built on the back of slavery, of our ancestors, our freedmen who, died, who are the slaves and then became freedmen in a Jim Crow, built on that, redlining, everything. And they've taken things that we've done and enhanced the United States, and black people have never been repaid for it. And when it comes to, inventions and everything, and it's just sad. But we have to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, we have to use United States for our interest. You know, and that's how we have to look at the U.S.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you know what are our voted in politicians gonna do for us? You know, we have to focus on that, and you know, no longer other people, other groups tying. I mean, I believe in alliances only if the alliances are going to work to our benefit as well. Now, if alliances is just going to help the other people, then it's not an alliance. You know what I mean? Right. So that's just how I feel, and it needs to be focused on our benefit,
right? Black
people's benefit.
Almost definitely. I mean, and that's one of the things that we've allowed to go on too long is, I mean, and that's another thing. I mean, we're good-hearted people. We're always going to go out our way to advocate for other people, sometimes more than we do for ourselves.
Yeah.
And, you know, and we need to, you know, not necessarily, you know, just because you're trying to do for self does not mean that you hate other people.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes we feel like when we talk about that rhetoric automatically translates to many people in our community as hatred for other people or being racist.
Yeah.
You know.
But you got to look at it on the other side too.
Right.
The other side is they're doing it to us.
Right.
You know, they're doing it for their benefit. They want our vote for their benefit, but they're not coming to the side of us.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and helping us for tangibles.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's where, I mean, alliances. Yeah. You help us, and I scratch your back, you scratch my back.
Right.
You know, that's how it should be.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm trying to figure out what there is a quote, and I know we're getting close to the time, you know, at the end of the show. But I was going to read, and there was this Thomas Jefferson quote that I wanted to read about what he's fearful, or at least he seemed fearful of what America, the consequences of America, and when is God going to be just, you know, with America. And it was I heard it the other day, and I thought it was very interesting. But I don't know, man. I don't know. This is a very, very interesting subject, and you know, it's almost like in every subject that we've had. I mean, I guess we've been on the air now for maybe 4 years. I don't something like that. And so every time that we have a show, every show in many ways is somehow connected to much of the same thing, and a lot of it has to do with changing our mindsets as a people. You know, that it does. Man, we ran out of time. I wish we had more time, man.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate you coming in, man. I'd like to have you back, man.
Yeah,
soon for sure.
I'll come back.
Okay, all right. And for the listeners, we appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, same channel. And until that time, stay blessed.
Radio program that's sweeping the nation, and you don't want to miss it. Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali, the voice of justice for the people. The focus of Justice Watch is to provide an honest analysis and viable solutions to the criminal and social justice crisis in America and the world from a black, brown, working class, and socially disadvantaged perspective, and to motivate listeners to be informed and part of the solution. Zulu Ali is joined by the Justice Crew, consisting of Rosa Nunez, Michael Clark, Dr. Akil Bashir, and Charito Ali to tackle the most pressing issues. Host attorney Zulu Ali is a former police officer, U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and an award-winning trial lawyer who focuses on representing persons accused of crimes, immigrants, victims of discrimination, and persons seeking civil justice. Find out how to listen to Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali at justicewatchradio.com.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.